All right, here we are.
Jesus Christ, that woke me up. That was a quick trip.
It was a quick trip. I'd like to say it was a quick Saturday night's main event, but it wasn't. Wasn't that it was longer than normal. I guess it's just that less. Well, I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, some people love everything they see, but Saturday night's main event was on. It was a tough night up against the World Series, Game 7. A classic game and a classic series.
Yeah.
And I also didn't realize it started at 7 o'clock until just before 7 o'clock. I thought it was 8 o'clock. So luckily I figured it out.
Well, they were out in Salt Lake City. You expect them Mormons to stay up all night? They go to bed early.
On Sunday.
Are they
Saturday.
allowed to get
Saturday,
up on
actually.
Sunday? And see, it's sad. That's why it was Saturday, because Mormons aren't allowed to get up on Sunday.
I was thinking of pay-per-view. It wasn't a pay-per-view. It was Saturday night's main event streaming on Peacock.
What was it? It wasn't a premium live event. It wasn't a network special. It was on Peacock. One of the malingerers on Peacock before they shove the bird out the door and they go full in on with their new lover. It wasn't any longer than normal. It just seemed like it. Because there were 4 matches in a 1 hour and 50 minutes. Because I watched it afterwards I still got commercials, but probably not as many as I would if I'd have watched it live. It was an hour and 50 minutes long. But if you just went bell to bell, it was 45 minutes? And
Maybe.
It takes a while in between to get things accomplished, such as long exits and lots of spots and plugs and piffle toffle and then big entrances and then boom shakalaka. But did we get a Stooge report yet on the attendance? Because I said SmackDown looked a little puny.
Oh, no, there are pictures of SmackDown going around. I think I mentioned it to you the other day. We don't know what part of the show it's from, but opposite the camera was empty. And you are starting to hear whispers.
Which never happens to them.
No. Now, again, they're in there for a weekend. They're running multiple shows, but I also think maybe there might be a slight cool down on SmackDown Live tickets.
Well, that's the point I was making the other day on the show that we did a day ago or whenever it was, that they're in Salt Lake City. So they got a captive audience out there in the middle of nowhere. It's people coming from Salt Lake City. You're not going to just, hey, let's drive over to Salt Lake City and go to the wrestling matches. So, and they're there for 2 days. And for the Saturday night's main event, they also had a kind of not a big stage, but a big wall. So I'm wondering if did we ever get a report on attendance, or are there any Stooges in Salt Lake City?
I will see what we can find out about that while we talk about this. And of course, they were in Salt Lake City.
That's what I just said.
No Jesse Ventura.
And that was a plus. That was a positive, because I know you on the first Saturday night's main event, and I'll go along with it, for the first one back, and it was a bigger deal than now these lame ducks that they're, doing to get out of their contract. If for the first show, okay, he was passable. You, with your preferences, had your rose-colored 80s glasses on about Jesse. My rose-colored glasses are tuned to the 60s and 70s, so I wasn't as impressed. But since then, what has he added? And it got the embarrassment the time before last when he argued about he was right, but he was making their own show look stupid. What was the topic? What was he? He wouldn't leave it alone.
Oh, imagine if he was there for the main event, or not the main event, I guess, the first match, Cody and Drew. Imagine if he was there for that finish.
Well, not even for he would have spent 10 minutes on why did the champion come out first instead of the challenger. But the point is, Jesse, how old is he now? I'm just saying, he hasn't been anything to write home about on the last few shows, and I'm not surprised they just said, Jesse, why don't you stay home this time?
Jesse Ventura is 74 years old. Governor Ventura. Excuse me.
Okay, well, then make sure that, Brian, remind me by the time I'm 74 not to do network TV fucking major broadcasts because I won't be able to keep up. Nevertheless, they went right into it. They've got 2 world titles and they've only got 4 matches on the card. So, because of what they did last, apparently they thought, okay, we'll do this one first. Cody and Drew on the first match. The title can change hands via disqualification or count out of ring. And this was the best match because there was nothing the matter with it. Nothing went wrong. Both guys are over. It's, they know what they're doing. But at the same time, if this was the best match on the show, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the match, but they just kind of moved it up and stuck it in here because all their other plans went to shit. So were you really ready for it?
I hated this match.
Okay. Then apparently you want to shoot everybody else on the show.
I was in the middle of this match is when it hit me like, oh my God, how are they going to fill up the whole show? How long is it going to be if this is how long this match is going to go? I thought it went forever. I thought it almost felt like they were in slow motion at times to me. I don't, and then the finish, I don't want to spoil you talking about it, but the finish was like, what the fuck just happened? Did he turn? Did he not turn? Should he turn now? I don't, I feel bad for Drew. Is Drew now
slowly
the baby?
I turned.
Yeah. But let's talk about it.
Well, and I mean, I took notes on this match, and again, like I said, technically, all their shit looks good, and they put a smart match together where they worked the stipulations early. Drew was trying to goad or coerce Cody into getting disqualified, or then at one time he dumped him into the orchestra pit out there trying to get him counted out, and Cody made the count back at 9, and that got a pop.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It really did look like he maybe counted out for a second there. That was really good.
Well, yeah, also because the way he got there was Drew tackled him off the apron, and he went through the goddamn, over the table, into the goddamn, the milling throng. But the thing is, they're smart. And they can adapt on the fly. At one point, Cody's going to do a spot where he ran to the corner and came off with a Cody cutter, and the referee was in the way for a shoot, actually in the way, not knowing. And so Cody buckled his knee on the turnbuckles and kind of crumpled and let Drew work on the knee for a while, and then they went back to the spot. But and Michael Cole, let's bring him up before we forget to.
Brian, you're too hard on Michael Cole. He's the best ever. You can't do what he does. He's so good. He's the least of their problems.
Oh my God, I hear it every time I tell the truth about this. And he said something here that flabbergasted me. I went back 3 times to rewind it. Eventually I wrote it down and tweeted it out. My God.
I wrote it down too. Michael Cole said that this was the 40th anniversary, which he saw this on Twitter, by the way. The 40th anniversary of Dusty Rhodes' famous Hard Times promo, which is true. And that's what cemented Dusty Rhodes as a global star. In 1985.
On Worldwide.
That would be, on Worldwide. That would be like, in the Gettysburg Address cemented Abraham Lincoln as a coming up politician.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's a great promo. It's a fantastic promo. In a vacuum, it's a great promo. It was not a promo talked about ever, in my circles at least, until WWE put it out on DVD.
I was 75 feet away from him when he did it, in the locker room at the TV taping. And because you know what that was to Dusty? Tuesday. He did those promos all the fucking time. He did them at Crockett's office for the local promos for Philly and fucking Charlotte and Atlanta and wherever. He did them every Tuesday night at syndicated tapings. And they weren't all that good. They were in the ballpark. Some of them probably, if we went back and looked, were even better. But that's the one they put on the DVD. But we've talked about this before. It wasn't like Dusty came back and said, wow, I wowed him. You know, with that one, no, it was Tuesday. But the point is, he'd been a global star for fucking 10 years.
Yeah, he had been a global star. He had been one of the biggest drawing cards in North America. He had been booked in Japan. He was a major draw to the point where he was getting booked out of his own territory everywhere.
Yes.
Years before. This was the winding down of his career, not the height of it in any way. It would be like if, you know, Jim, I don't know if you know this, today is the 40th anniversary of Jim Cornette's Here They Are, Lean, Mean, Slick, and Quick intro in Mid-South for the Midnight Express, which cemented him on the national stage as a voice to be heard. It's just like nonsensical. I don't even know if you call it a rewriting of wrestling history. I guess it is.
It's just something that Michael Cole probably believes it because he wasn't cognizant of what was happening at the time. He was in a different world.
Can you imagine how different things would be if, for mid and late 80s Crockett, people focused more on the promos that were on the syndicated shows as opposed to TBS?
Well, that's, you know, again, it was the same kind of promos. We didn't like save the A material for TBS. We all did the promos the same, regardless of what TV show it was for. And in some cases, some of the guys got more time on syndication.
Yeah, and a lot of fans only know the stuff from TBS because a lot of that syndication stuff just isn't in circulation, or if it is, you have to really search for it. WWE doesn't put it out. There are loads of fantastic promos that there's a generation of fans that could, you know, they can go discover that. But yeah,
and much better matches on syndication, actually, because even the level of the job guys was up because it wasn't the 2 hours of squash matches that you'd get a lot of times on TBS on Saturday. It was the George Souths and Italian Stallions and Gary Royals and those guys doing jobs and more main event matches because we were in arenas.
And screaming fans. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yes.
But anyway, Hard Times. It's a fantastic promo, but I did not hear any wrestling fan anywhere say a word about it throughout the 90s.
But anyway, so back to Cody and Drew. And again, they had gone to do that spot. The referee was kind of in the way, which again was a shoot. And then they went back to it. And then it made it kind of even worse that in the finish, Drew was going to shove Cody into the referee, which he did. And the referee goes down from getting squashed in the corner. But I've seen people on fucking security videos get hit by cars and be up quicker. This was the thing that, to me, you talked about the finish that I thought is a good match, good story they told, good work they did. But then the finish took the wind out of it because the referee goes down and he's down for so long, and Drew headbutts Cody and goes out and gets the title belt and swings it, but he misses. And Cody and Drew have a double knockout, and then they're both selling. And the poor referee is still down. And then Cody, the belt was in the ring. Cody grabs Drew and DDTs him on the belt and then tosses the belt out. So,
which Wade Barrett in the role of Jesse Ventura immediately pointed out that's a heel thing to do.
Yes, and you could almost hear a murmur of like, even though Drew brought it in.
No, you heard it from the fans, yeah.
But let's face it, they had to give Drew as many outs as possible because he needs to win something. Because he's a great talent and he's been doing these incredible promos, and his whole thing is he gets screwed, but he needs to win something to keep in the game before it gets, I think part of the thing that got him over was he did have legitimate gripes that he should have got this or he should have got that. But if he doesn't win something, then either he's cursed by a gypsy or you see what I'm saying. But anyway, Cody DDTs him on the belt, tosses the belt out. The referee gets up, luckily, and Cody hits the crossroads 1, 2, 3. So I wasn't as down on the match as you were, but I think I'm as down on the finish as you are.
Yeah, again, maybe I was just being unfair to the match. It, to me, did not really hit until the end. It kind of got a little hot. And then, again, you kind of start hyper-analyzing things. You're like looking at Cody's facial expressions. Was there any sign of being a heel here? It's just such an interesting thing to do. The fact that the fans did have a audible reaction is maybe the biggest story here. Because if they didn't, if they cheered, Hulk Hogan wrestled like a heel when he was a babyface. If you ever watch, he's scratching people's back, raking their, doing all sorts of shit. And the fans are eating it up.
But the old rule then was the babyface can do it back to the heel. The heel has to do it first. But these people are a little pickier.
But it also, again, put thoughts in my head. Watching Drew slumped against the ring, I was thinking, man, I kind of feel bad for this guy. I kind of want to cheer this guy. Cody, I don't know. I've thought that there was a little bit of a downgrade in his popularity for a little while. But if he's going to start doing stuff like that, it's going to be interesting to see how, maybe it's just the finish of this match and that's it. He'll go back to being, the milk drinking, walking old ladies across the street.
What's Cody going to do next here? What's up for Cody?
What do you want to see him do?
What do you want to talk about?
No, you've always been a big supporter of his, even in the past, like in AEW, when I had problems with what he was doing. You were one of the last people. You kind of always have seen the best in Cody. You've seen how they've been booking him. You see where he is. What do you think he should do next?
Well, apparently we are not going to get a rematch between Brock Lesnar and John Cena. That's pretty much obvious at this point. So they just decided to just have Brock just beat the piss out of Cena. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind Cody and Brock for the belt is a money match. I don't know whether I want to see a program at this point between them. Promos and personal issues and animosity. You know who the best person in the company is at that? It's Punk. But then there's the problem is that if Cody hadn't been bickering and fighting other baby faces, that would be nominally, just a wonderful thing. And I love Punk's heel persona, but it ain't the time for that because they like Punk too. You could get a big match out of Cody and Punk as baby faces, but you can't get that personal issue like with Punk and Rollins or Punk and Drew. Rollins is out of the picture and probably needs a rest from all these people for the foreseeable future. Anyway, so what do Cody do?
The biggest thing that hasn't been done, and I'm not saying they're going to do it here, but, hearing you talk about this just makes me think about it. Cody and Punk, not like, hey, let's have a match, but I mean an actual program. It's the most interesting thing either guy could do. The problem would be inherently, Cody will start getting booed. Even if Punk turned heel, I think Cody would get booed against Punk.
Yes, because Punk's supporters are more adamant about supporting Punk, regardless of what the writers say. And Cody has already been. See, that's why I said if he hadn't been, I'd still like it. If he hadn't been, fighting these other crossways with these other baby faces, and or had been made to look kind of weak for a while there. He's had a bad year between the Rock's interference and the Cena thing, all that stuff, right? But nevertheless,
what options are there? Dominic's a champion. He's never really had a big run against a world champion. But he has a championship. I mean, there's something there already.
Yeah, but it ain't a money match right now.
Braun and Bronson, I mean, I guess technically you could have one go for Punk, one go for Cody. But I don't know if that's the right thing either. The Drew thing's over. Rollins is gone. The Usos, I don't want to see that. Roman, whenever he shows up, a Roman Cody thing, I guess there still is some unresolved stuff. Roman needs to get his win back. The Rock, if he's going to show up, he's going to show up again in the next few months. If he shows up, is he going to do something with Cody? Even if it doesn't lead to anything, is that what they're going to do? I mean,
right now, if I was Nick Khan or Ari Emanuel or one of these upper crust high head honchos, if The Rock wanted to get in a ring again ever, I would say as soon as you put Cody over, and we'll talk about other matches. But at this point, what the fuck? If he's going to wrestle again, we need to resolve that. To me, Braun Breaker and Punk for the title is the WrestleMania match because of the Paul Heyman involvement, and that'll be brilliant. Or maybe Cody can just do commentary and cut promos with Bob Caudle on the hard times he's having.
I don't know about that. That may be a bit of a stretch, but, Cody could, Jim, possibly, potentially, use a good night's sleep.
Well, that's what a lot of people can use. And boy, I'd like to have one because since they changed this daylight savings time, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch black. But folks, if you go to sleep on a Helix sleep mattress, well, when you wake up, you won't know what time it is. You'll be completely disoriented. You won't even remember your own family. That's how good you're going to sleep.
It won't do anything. It won't do anything.
You woke up last week and called the cops and said there's some woman and several children in my house. Can you come and take them away?
I can't comment on that publicly, and you know that. But the point is that whatever Jim said that I already was thrown off from, that was wrong. And let's talk about what's right.
We'll talk about what's right. That's getting a good night's sleep and refreshing yourself, recharging your body's clock and your body chemistry. As a matter of fact, Helix, one of their new mattresses that they've come out with, it helps balance your body chemistry. There's a tube that comes up out of the mattress, and you put it in like an IV in a main vein.
Tube. No, just no
when you
tube.
go to bed, and overnight you are recharged and re-energized.
Jim, one of the great things about Helix sleep mattresses is that you don't even have to make up crazy things because they're so good that people will get a good night's sleep because the mattress will be exactly what they want, and we're over here now.
Yes, and it'll come to your door with several armed, burly men carrying it because they guard these things closely to make sure nobody contaminates them.
It will be normal delivery.
With an armored car, and it'll come in a box, and you just take it. Take it to the room that you want it to be in.
That's right.
And then you slice it open and duck, because that's son of a no. It comes up with a pleasing. And it's not like these big old-fashioned mattresses where you had to lug them in sideways and throw them in the window somehow. And boom, when you lay down on that thing, well, you're going to be sleeping instead of with the fishes, you're going to be sleeping with the angels. It'll send you up instead of down. And they've got mattresses for anybody. If you sleep hot, you sleep cold, you like to sleep on your back or your front. As a matter of fact, we've heard from a number of people. It's a new thing, Brian. They're nailing it up to the wall and just kind of backing up into it at night. And that way, when they wake up in the morning, they can get started with their day even quicker. That's the executive model for you workaholics.
I don't know about that. And of course, for you sleepaholics, they have great mattresses that are available for public viewing on their website. You can go check it out for yourself and pick what's right for you. Just like we have done.
As a matter of fact, that's another thing. After you've had this mattress, the Helix Sleep mattress from helixsleep.com, after you've had the mattress for 90 days, they're going to come over and they're going to bring a photographer. He's going to take a picture of you laying on that mattress and they're going to put it up on their website.
That's not.
So if you want to see people enjoying the Helix mattresses, everybody that gets one's picture is up there, and you can. Sometimes they're unclothed, but usually people do wear some form of wrapping when they go to sleep.
There is no photo section on their website. There will be no candid photography or arranged photography. This isn't about photography. This is about a good night's sleep. And of course, for a good night's sleep, you need a great mattress. We have them here at Last Manor, several Helix Sleep mattresses. They're popular at Castle Cornette.
Yes, they are. I've got them all over the house and the backyard, as I mentioned before. So in case of fire, you can jump right out the window and land unharmed. That's only for people that live in a 2-story home or bigger. If you jump out the window and have to put a mattress down if you live on the ground floor, you're just a pussy. Folks, right now, just go to helixsleep.com/JCE. You take the quiz on what kind of mattresses you like. They pick you out the best one. You buy it. They send it to you. You put it on your bed. And you sleep like the sleep of the angels in the clouds. And you'll hear harp music. And then the Marx Brothers will come through and you'll have this crazy, wild dream about animal crackers. helixsleep.com/JCE, 27% off is what's going on. 27% off with that code JCE. Do you know how much 27% of a mattress is? That's like 6 cubic feet.
It's 27% of savings of the price, not the size of the mattress.
Oh, they're going to give you the whole mattress and charge you less. That's even better.
Amazing.
They're going to give you the entire mattress, folks, but they're going to charge you 27% less for it. I don't know how you can even do that deal and stay in business. Boy, howdy, helixsleep.com/JCE. That's where you need to go then. Hey, you don't even need to scrunch up and bend your knees because you'll have the whole mattress to stretch out on.
Once again, great mattresses. We love them here. We're sure you'll love them too. Let us know. But our good friends, Helix Sleep, Jim, one more time, that promo code.
helixsleep.com/JCE, 27% off. And boy, and these even pass the sniff test. When you sleep face down, I'll tell you more about the sniff test on the next spot.
Well, Jim, why don't we get back to whatever you were smelling on WWE Saturday night's main event, not a premium live event, in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Well, you shouldn't mention smelling because now it's going to be rude where we're going because the next up was the match for the women's title between Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. And boy, they have changed their... I thought that they switched Jade heel, as we were talking about on the show we did a couple of days ago, because they were like, okay, we've given up on making her the babyface, superstar. The storm has fizzled out over the Great Plains and been dried up by the low pressure, whatever. But then they turn around, and now that she's a heel, they just had her beat the shit out of Tiffany Stratton and beat her in about 5 minutes.
I thought this was actually the best thing on the show, just in terms of impact and everything.
Well, there was some impact, especially on that big suplex. Now, I don't know if either one of these girls can wrestle, but they look great and they do moves well. And I think they went in, Tiffany had an out because of her injured leg, and that's what Jade was working on through the whole thing. And Tiffany still got a hope spot or two in there. But then Jade just gave her 3 power bombs and then hit her finish. Boom, 1, 2, 3. And as I said, it was like 5 minutes. Do you think they just wanted to make the impact and figured, well, fuck Tiffany, she's still over, everything's fine there? Or do you think they don't trust Jade to go 10 minutes?
Well, beyond that, and that may be right, but I don't think she should have gone 10 minutes. I think we're in a stage right now where there aren't matches under 10 minutes, it seems like, anywhere.
Well, yes, and now that you've mentioned that, people are going to complain at me that, well, you're always saying they go too long. But this was kind of like awfully one-sided, I guess. It's not like it was an exciting. Wasn't like the Sheik came out and there was just chaos for 5 minutes and then it was over. It was like she just kind of beat the shit out of her and beat her.
She has turned heel and she is now dominating. And it's different. It seemed like it worked. We'll see. I mean, I don't think it hurts Tiffany. So that's the good thing. I think it helps make Jade bigger. Now, again, what they could do in the ring with anyone versus the right opponent, who knows? You got to think they're setting her up for Bianca whenever Bianca returns. Because that will be, it may not be a 5-star classic, but that's a big deal, especially to the WWE fans. Bianca versus Jade? Because they brought Jade in as just a happy friend babyface. And now all of a sudden she's kicking ass.
Well, and that's the thing. Bianca had broken fingers coming out of WrestleMania. That was April. This is November. And I'm thinking that either she fucked up bones in her hand that have required extensive surgery, or she's lost some kind of feeling, or whatever the fuck is going on, or else why she had more going on than a broken finger. And could she have had anything related to a hand that would keep you out of action for 7 months? What could that be besides amputating the fucking thing?
I don't know.
Well, you're supposed to be a goddamn doctor.
Well, we'll see. I actually didn't realize it was still the finger thing from WrestleMania until you said that. I was like, oh shit.
Well, I just saw somebody on the Twitter a couple of weeks ago saying, gee, yeah, she had the broken fingers. And,
if she's out like 5 days over 9 months, I think it's going to be like, a phantom finger.
I don't know if she'd come back in 5 days if she was out for 9 months. I think there's some period after that time that, Man. Has anybody seen a recent photo of her? Does she look like she's smuggling basketballs? All right. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens with Jade. But like I said, I don't know that either of these young ladies can wrestle, but they do moves well. That's the thing is, there's almost no wrestling, even in the matches of the guys that can wrestle these days. And then later on, Punk and Jay tried to wrestle. We'll get to that.
Well, though, in AEW, this is kind of what they did with her. And when she came to WWE, all of a sudden, not that she was overexposed, she was exposed. All of a sudden, she was working in ways that she never had to do before with other people out there who were national stars and celebrities and professionals. The way she was using AEW, the best thing about her were the interviews where she clearly had a lot of attitude and charisma. Now that she'll be produced, maybe those will even be better. Again, heel Jade, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah.
The heel attitude in those promos. And again, she wrestled all short matches to the point where we really didn't even know what she could do or not do still at the end of her AEW run. It was like, all right, let's see her work a match. Let's see what she could do. Like we really weren't sure what her capabilities were. So I think it is the way to use her effectively, probably. Use her in short matches and let her do heel promos.
Well, and then the thing that she was missing there was she did short matches and heel promos, but never a program or a rivalry or a championship, whatever the fuck. Well, she had that one of those bogus titles, but
TNT.
There was the TNT title. No, wait a minute. It'd be the TBS title.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Either that or they had an intergender match somewhere.
Oh, because it was being that bitch show. That's right.
Yes. Except the logo looked like HOS. It looked like hose. But nevertheless, Jade is what we're talking about with short matches. At least now she's got money drawing opponents and someone to book her into these things, and they don't need to be 20 minutes long, and it's probably better off. But they're gonna, I guess, try to get her positioned that way to see if they can get some return on the investment here, which, as you mentioned, is probably the best way to do it, because it's going to be really tough for her to be a babyface when she can't really sell. She can register pain, but she's not like an underdog underneath babyface selling and fighting back from the bottom against all odds type of girl. Well, you know what was against the odds next, don't you, Brian?
A three-way match.
And it was against the odds that I was going to like it. And there was no upset. A three-way for the Intercontinental title, Penta versus Rusev versus Dominic Mysterio. And I couldn't in any way even make notes on the match like, well, because they make no sense. It is a three-way. And again, it was even more egregious this time where one guy would just completely disappear for minutes at a time, not be referred to, not seen on camera while two other guys do moves to each other, and then they just switch.
Oh, big deal. Rusev has done that for years at a time.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say about him. Evaluating these three guys in this match, Rusev looks good physically. He's athletic. He does good power stuff. I think he spent too long playing with the children and then going and hiding in Bulgaria. And I think his window may have closed. Because I get they're putting him in this, but they're not. It's not like he's going to be added to the Heyman stable or anything. He's a middle card guy in this environment. He could have stood out in AEW because of his size and his power and the things he could do if he'd been treated seriously. But they killed that off at the start. And then he went home and pouted because they'd booked him like shit. So now it's 5 years later and he's what? Is he 40 or 41, 2, however fucking old he is? I'm kind of in the middle. He's there. Not bad to have on the card. He ain't going to draw any money. Disagree with me if you can.
39 years old. You know, he's a scary looking guy if you ran into him on the street, but he's not as physically imposing as he used to be.
Well, and also he's next to bigger guys.
You didn't really say it, but you even brought up the Heyman stable. That would be a mistake to put him with. It would water down the other two guys just because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They're not going to give him some big push where he's going to be launched to the top alongside the Braun Breakers and the like. That's not going to happen.
I do think maybe that's what he needs, though, like a buddy. He needs like someone that you see him interact with on TV as opposed to just...
He had a little buddy in AEW and he was wearing pink Minnie Mouse t-shirts with him. That's what killed him.
I mean, a gym buddy. He needs something. He needs something. Otherwise, he's just, the angry guy doing promos before he loses the big match.
He needs an accountability buddy. Accountability buddy. You South Park fans will know what I'm talking about. Okay, Penta. He's better than in AEW because he's produced and he has more professional opponents. And he'll probably do well for him in Mexico with the AAA project or whatever. He has a name there. I mean, he's like a Dragon Lee for this environment, for the American audience. He's not, nor is he ever going to be a tip-top guy, but he's on the card to appeal to the Hispanic audience. So, again, he's there. and I don't know, maybe putting him and Phoenix together as the Lucha Brothers, maybe that would, be something as a tag team for AAA again, but it's not like they're going to be having 45-minute long matches with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. So that's two guys. And then Dominic, who gets better all the time, his work, his selling, his personality. And now the people are wanting to like him. And you can tell he's gotten over with all of this various foolishness that he's done over the past couple of years. Started with Rhea Ripley and through the whole thing, and now on his own. And he cheats to win the matches because he's a heel, but he cheats in such cute ways. And he's got the oomph. So Dominic Mysterio, not next month, maybe not even next year, but at some point, he will be a main event fucking guy in his company. But however, having said that, Jesus Christ, it was just a bunch of guys doing moves to each other. And then they did one thing. Dominic pitches the chair to Rusev and then tries to get the referee to disqualify Rusev, say he hit me. But the referee said it's no DQ, it's a three-way. So Rusev just beats the shit out of Dominic with the chair in front of the referee. It's a hat on a hat. Brian, the original triple threat match was not a no DQ match because it didn't need to be. It already had a fucking gimmick. So they can't even. It was a cute spot, but it wasn't necessary. And it just, again, makes these things look like what the fuck. It's an AEW type of thing. Let's just bury all the referees and do everything because it's all allowed because it's no DQ. But having said that, then Rusev got a camel clutch on Penta and Dominic went out and rang the bell. So Russo. Yes, Russo moved to Bulgaria. Now Rusev let it go. And then when Dominic, he saw it was Dominic, he went to get him. Dominic drew back the hammer and tried to use it on him, but Rusev took it away from him and beat the shit out of Dominic. But then Dominic shoved Rusev into the ring steps, but now Penta had got the hammer, but when he swung at Dominic, Dominic ducked and Penta hit Rusev. And then Dominic shit-canned him and shit-canned Penta and splashed Rusev off the top 1, 2, 3. So they're still doing the bell hammer thing with Dominic, and I like the concept that he's got this hammer in different ways, but it gets so cluttered with the three-way bullshit, and you just can't make these matches look credible and realistic. Because I know all those people in the building are watching the guy laying on the side of the ring somewhere out of camera sight for 3 minutes going, well, he could get up any fucking time.
What's he waiting for? Yeah.
And being in a match where as it's unfolding, you see that something is going on that people are it's a buzzkill moment. It's going to take people out of it. They're going to be watching that instead of what they need to be watching. I hate that feeling. I've had it many times. And it's, and I just don't understand why that they think that it doesn't matter what the 10,000 people or whatever in a building see. It's just the TV audience. Well, it's 10,000 people. Every time you do this bogus bullshit in front of them, it's 10,000 more people. And that adds up. What'd you think of this thing?
As far as three-way matches go, it was all right. It's definitely noticeable the fans are getting more and more into Dominic. I hate that neck tattoo, but I may be alone. And, I reiterate what you said earlier. I think Penta's just fine where he is in the card and the people like him. I do think there could be a run for the Lucha Brothers. It may not be against Braun and Bronson unless they're in the tag team division, but I could see that being a bit of a thing at some point when they're on the same show. And as far as Rusev goes, yeah. I mean, I was surprised they brought him back, and he's kind of been a non-entity, for lack of a better term. And, I'm not trying to insult the guy. It's really about the way he's booked. But I think now he's kind of stuck there. I don't know.
I would say he lost 5 good years of his life in limbo, but he got paid for 5 years to do almost nothing. But what he did do didn't help his image in wrestling.
Tony paid him a lot of money to finish all of his favorite video games. I need a boss like that.
All right. Well, you know what they're going to do, Brian, to determine John Cena's final opponent for December 13th and at the next Saturday night's main event on the cock. Can't believe they ended up sticking. It used to be a big deal when it was network TV special, and it might even have been okay when all their shit was on Peacock. But now that this is almost the only thing that's on Peacock. But the tournament to determine his final opponent starts November 10th and they're going to do it on television. Oh, joy. You think it's a rib on Tony Khan? Well, now we'll just do a tournament and show him how to do that.
You know, we joke about and make fun of and criticize Tony's use of tournaments, and even billing Okada as like the greatest tournament wrestler ever, just a non-stat if there ever was one. But Triple H kind of has the same deal going. You know, a lot of the things that I hate that Tony does, Triple H seems to like the same things. And in general, I'm sick of tournaments. But for this specific one, I would like to know if John Cena is personally disappointed at all in the way this year has gone down. Or does he not care at all about the booking? It's just about his personal experience in all these different towns, working with his favorite guys one last time. But to me, this is a deflating and disappointing ending if it's just going to be a tournament won by a Gunther or whoever to get John Cena. I mean, unless it's stacked with, like, surprises, it's just another tournament with the same people who are on Raw and SmackDown every week, and you kind of can rule out several people as his last opponent. So I don't like it at all for this.
Well, and hopefully Gunther will win, and then Gunther will win. Because at this point, might as well, again, Gunther was supposed to get a match with Brock a couple of years ago when they had really give Gunther the big shove. And I would think that would be kind of a passing of the torch moment between two big physical guys. So maybe they we'll get that this time, where Gunther beats Cena. He's back in the top mix. Brock's around. I'd like to see that match. I'd like to see Gunther beat Brock Lesnar. And I think it would draw money.
And again,
but nevertheless.
Well, we're presuming Gunther. They haven't announced a bracket or a tournament or anything else yet, like who's going to actually be in it. But what do you think about using the tournament for this to find the final opponent for John Cena?
Well, then they've just lazied their way into 3 or 4 weeks of television. Oh, here, that'll fill up 45 minutes each show, just these tournament matches. And it's so important. Again, I said this a few days ago, the last show we did, but you should have at the start of the year identified 2 or 3 big main event matches, names, programs you wanted to have through the year, and then give Cena wins over in one-offs over a number of other people. And he makes all of his last appearances in all these towns, wins most of the matches, and does a couple of jobs for a couple of people to make them more important. And I don't know how they fucked that up. And you could have had your major heel that you wanted to beat Cena in the end or toward the end. I still probably would have him win his last match. I wouldn't make it. If they could, a Survivor Series is bigger than Saturday night's main event. What about if they'd have had one heel like Gunther or somebody of that level that had wanted to ruin Cena's party all year and had been in and out trying to fuck with him? And finally, that's the climactic big show match, Survivor Series, and he beats Cena. But then Cena comes back on the important, but still not as important as Survivor Series, Saturday night's main event, and beats another guy in his last match, so you get the happy ending. Fuck the heel turn. Don't have him fuck with Cody. Don't have Cody fuck with him. It wasn't all necessary. They didn't run off any business, but they sure didn't bring any business in with all of what they did.
Well, that was the big tournament announcement for the John Cena final match, and there's one final match here on Saturday night's main event, and I'm going to guess it was your favorite match of the night.
Oh, boy. Snake bit. That phrase came up to me a time. They got 4 matches on a show, and 2 of them are for the world title. So this is the second world title match of the evening, CM Punk and Jey Uso. And then this is one of the things I was talking about with Jey Uso before when he was the world champion. He needed to win it. He got so hot. He was so popular. It would have made him look like shit if he hadn't won that thing, but he couldn't have it for long because you can't put Jey Uso in 20 and 25 and 30-minute long singles matches on big shows. He can't hang work-wise with the top guys in the company. And I'm not just talking about Punk here. Jey has wonderful charisma, but his timing and his basics and it doesn't appear to me that he's an easy person to work with. And wrestling, especially the headlock takeovers, they started out trying to wrestle a world title match, and that ain't Jay's thing at all. And at one point, Punk tried the reverse neck breaker, and Jey turned around and then turned all the way over again and just fell on top of Punk. And Punk jumped up and kicked him in the head and picked him up and did it again. What the And bear in mind that Punk had a couple of bobbles here as well, including right at the finish. And it doesn't appear to me that Jey Uso is a guy that's easy to work with if you are trying to have a long main event singles match. Let me just say that. And it was babyface versus babyface. I'm sure if you had asked Punk, name 10 guys you want to go 20 minutes on a big show with in a babyface versus babyface match, Jey wouldn't have been on top of that list either. But it was put together smartly. If it had all come off as planned. But Punk stayed in control most of the time, but not as a heel because he's a babyface. It just allowed Jey to fight back from underneath and also for Punk to kind of call it. But they had a bunch of false finishes. Post Malone at ringside looks like a prison gang member. That's country music these days?
Well, he kind of crosses many genres of music.
Looks like he's got crossways with a tattoo artist who fucked him up. Anyway, they were going to the finish. Punk went for a pile driver, and Jey hit to go to sleep on him. And then Jey charged him, and Punk hit a spear and got a 2 count. And the people were into these false finishes they'd been doing. And then Punk hit the GTS to go to sleep, and Uso, landing on his feet, fell back into the ropes, and as Punk went to his knees, Uso collapsed over like back on Punk's shoulders. And the working plan was for Punk to stand up under him again and give him another go to sleep, 1, 2, 3. However, the physics that bit Ibushi and Alexander in the ass the other day on AEW took over, and Uso's weight was too far back. Punk tried to stand up underneath him. They overbalanced. They fell in a fucking heap. But you could tell, and I'm sure Punk immediately said, "Get on me," like Jey had countered it, and Jey gets on him and gets a fucking sleeper, and that gets a big pop. And then Punk rolls it into the Anaconda Vice, and Jey gets the ropes. And then Jey hits a couple super kicks and went for a spear, and Punk hit the go to sleep, and then Jay bounced off the ropes into another go to sleep, 1, 2, 3. So they ad-libbed back into what they were going to do, but it wasn't either guy's shining moment, but God almighty, I would not again want to have to go 20 in a single match main event with Jey Uso.
It's one of those things they have to get there, and it's watching them try to get there. I think this is the right ending, obviously, especially with Rollins being gone. Punk being the champion right now sets you up for a lot of different possibilities. This has been the year of the Cena retirement. In a lot of ways, it's also been the year of Jey Uso and that ring entrance, and I know a lot of people love it, but, you almost miss parts of the match because you start fast-forwarding, or you leave the room because if you're watching it live, you don't need to see it. I started watching the World Series more than I was watching that because it took him a long time to get there, and then he does it a second time.
Yes. No, the entrances on that were almost 10 minutes for the two of them.
And I think we're seeing for the first time, really all year, blowback about Jey Uso's push from fans. I'm seeing a lot of feedback about that. We're getting it, emailed to us and stuff. So I think the year of Jey Uso is coming to an end. And like you said, the matches are never... you can't... Name me a classic Jey Uso match. In all the years we've been watching WWE, name me a great Jey Uso match. You can't. You can name me great moments. You can name me great moments that happen after a match.
And the Bloodline saga, which was all about promos and whose side is who on.
Yeah, but even when there was a match, the match was long, plotting, didn't matter. It was about the last 2 minutes of the match, and then all the drama that always happened right after the match. Jey Uso not knowing if he could turn on Sammy, just everything like that.
And now, not to take the piss out of all of that. That was all well done, and Jey has charisma, and Jimmy has charisma. But the Usos as a team, it was the same thing. They aren't that good at the pro wrestling portion of the presentation.
It's crazy too, thinking back to that period of time. There is nothing as hot or anywhere near as hot as things got with the Bloodline, where you couldn't wait to see the drama that was going to happen. And a lot of the problems we're having now with the TV and everything, they got away with that because it was so hot. But a lot of that was a slow-moving thing. And we always said it like Paul Heyman's booking, it'll just end with nothing. It'll be no ending. It'll just dissolve into nothingness. But I don't know what you do with him next.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why Punk had to win this, because, again, the world title on Punk, he can be in the orbit of the Heyman group, and there's the connection there. Whereas if they put Jey involved with the Heyman group, then it looks like, Roman's replacement showed up. It's not Snuka, it's CV Alpha or whatever.
Superfly Afi.
Whatever the case. But they need the name value going into the WrestleMania season.
We've been talking about how these shows feel, the state of WWE TV lately. Saturday night's main event did nothing to fix any of that, and it was 4 matches, and it took forever.
And you mentioned they were up against the World Series. My bigger problem is they were up against Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, I had that on the living
on Svengoolie. But hey, let's be honest, I was asleep by 9 o'clock Saturday night anyway, like always. And fuck the fucking change of the time. I'm waking up same time every day anyway. But I mean, this was, I think, more contractual obligation than a show that was necessary to be held.
And you felt good for Punk. It seemed like it really was a moment. We all joke about these titles or, just what they are, but it really seemed like it meant something to him. It's a full return.
Probably should have happened on Survivor Series, one of the big events of the year, instead of this thing that's hidden on a streaming service somewhere.
Against the World Series, yeah. Because that match was the match specifically because it began at 7, not 8. This match is the one that really went up against things getting good in the World Series. Jim, I'm going to ask you about a photo that made the rounds in a moment, but first, I'd like to talk to you about music. You know, people think of CM Punk. I mean, there's a reason that's his name. It's punk rock. That was the music he got into. He talks about straight edge. I've heard him quote other Minor Threat songs. Music is very important. He has theme music, and of course, Jey Uso has endless theme music, which is awful. But music is great.
Music.
I guess what I'm
very, very good.
Jim, I guess what I'm trying to say is we all need to be able to hear things, and we have a friend that'll stop me right now and let you tell them about how they can hear great music and great podcasts with great earbuds.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, I don't know what the hell that was, but if you'd like to listen to something else right now, then go to buyraycon.com and get some of those everyday earbuds. That's what you're trying to say, Brian. Because it doesn't have to be music.
No.
It could be voice. It could be podcast. You can listen to our podcast on the earbuds.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, you can listen to our podcast. I'm saying hello to the audience. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were saying hello to me.
Hello, listeners.
I thought you couldn't hear me. What are you on the fucking nitrous again? What the hell's going on over there?
I was doing my Lloyd Lindsay Young. Hello! Back to you.
Back to me. Well, the Raycon everyday earbuds, they don't have to be music. They could be voice. They could be podcast. You can record people doing the naughty. Just crawl over to your neighbor's house on your hands and knees about 2:00 in the morning, stick a microphone up next to their window and see if you can record them in intimate embrace, and then you can listen to that on the everyday earbuds.
You know, again,
It's up to you.
It's not up to you. It's up to law enforcement to stop you. That's not something you should do. Don't go to your neighbor's house, mind your own business, and listen to some good sounds.
Do you know back in the old days before everybody did things on the computer, when it was an old typewriter, if you got your E keys, if you got them dirty, it would look like O's. And that's why for a long time there was a rash of reports on the news of police arresting pooping Toms. But anyhow, you're going to shit over these big deals.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, you are, because the Everyday Earbuds Classic that are loaded with upgrades, active noise cancellation, multi-point connectivity, an ergonomic fit that just slips right in and lodges in your ear canal.
No.
Archaeologists in years will be doing reports based on the age of the earbuds found in the skulls of prehistoric man.
Jim, you hear Antonio Inoki? Just want to make sure we let the people know nothing will be lodged or stuck anywhere. Everything comes out easily, just like the music.
Oh, it'll come out. Yes, they take the skull and they dip it in a solution, and then they take tweezers and you pull all kinds of things out of these skulls.
No.
And they're available in favorite colors like blush violet or cool mint, or a cool water sandwich on a Sunday go to meat and bun. And they got the quick charge function. 10 minutes of charging gives you 90 minutes of playtime, up to 32 hours of battery life. I'm telling you. And the awareness mode. Now, let's say you're walking a dog and you're walking down the street and suddenly there's an atomic explosion, fire engines start up, and sirens and emergency horns and police cars and tanks. They're all coming down the street, but you're paying attention to your dog taking a shit. Well, if you pop the awareness mode in, then you'll hear all these things before they run you down.
Well, let's hope no one's getting run down. And of course, the only thing that's getting run down.
I'm feeling a little peaked myself right now.
Jim, the only thing that we could say is down will be the price, because we have a great deal for the listeners on a brand new pair of Raycon earbuds.
Boy, how the price is going down like a circus seal. I'm telling you what, because they Raycon, whether it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Titty Tuesday, or Wing Wednesday, everything is up to 30% off when you go to buyraycon. That's BUYRAYCON.com/ you know what that slash is, baby. JCE. That's what that slash is. And that's the code that gets you 30% off all of the various plethora of products that are proffered to your person by our friends at Raycon, our professional producers of productivity.
Great earbuds.
30%. That ain't bad.
We love them here. Everyone in the family has a pair, and we all love our Raycons. I love my Raycons. I know Stacy Cornette is a big fan, and we're sure the listeners will love them too.
Yes, I used to be able to put things in my ears and hear before I got hit by lightning, but now I've got to keep those canals open because occasionally an electric jolt does come out of my ear canal, and I've got to stay grounded.
We're speaking to the audience that has not been hit by lightning, but Jim, for that audience,
it's more common than you think.
How common?
It's common, more common than you would think.
Better chance of getting hit by lightning than winning the lotto?
Yes, you do, actually. Statistics have shown that. But you know what you got the best chance of statistically?
What's that?
Saving 30% on a pair of Everyday Earbuds Classic from Raycon at buyraycon.com/JCE, 30% off. It's like only having to pay 7/10 of the price of something, but you can hear all of it. Unless, of course, you have some problem with your hearing, which is not up to us to fucking deal with. Just turn these goddamn things all the way up. You'll be fine.
Buyraycon.com/JCE.